Good morning and happy Valentine's Day. My name is Jasmine. I am your inner work coach, which means I am here to help you learn to love your life and your relationships. And today we are going to be talking about relationships. Why is your relationship not progressing? If you were trying to get to marriage, it doesn't seem like he's trying to get there, or he's taking his time and he's kind of trotting along and you're like, what in the world is going on? We are going to talk about two very big and controversial things that I believe and have seen help progress the relationship train along. This is actually going to be a two-part video because I really want to take my time with each one of these things, because I know that you guys are gonna just listen to the video to the end. You don't have to do anything right now. Just take the information, digest it, think about it. Other disclaimer: if you are one of my friends and you are watching this video, or honestly, because y'all are all my friends, if you're watching this video and you feel like it's coming from a place of judgment, I 100% promise you and guarantee you that it's not. What I want to do on this channel is be authentic to my beliefs and the things that I genuinely believe helped me in my life and in my relationship, and that I will believe will help you in your life and your relationship, and also that I've just seen and learned. And so yeah, there's absolutely no judgment. If you do this, great. I really think that it will help you get to the goal that you're trying to get to. And if you don't want to do it, cool, we're still friends, still love you, still support you, whatever you're trying to do, cool. Number one, stop having with your partner. Now, this is going to seem drastic and extreme, and I know that you guys, so again, always, my faith is my foundation. But the thing about the Bible is, God gives us these tools in the Bible. No, he gives us these rules in the Bible. And I used to be so frustrated with the rules that God had in the Bible. I'm like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you shouldn't have before marriage. Like, it's just annoying. Like, I don't understand the point of it. But the thing is that God puts certain things in like a little box and a little protection, like puts boundaries around it to give us freedom in that area. The reason that I believe in that me and my husband did our best, because we weren't perfect at it, but that we did our best not to do before marriage, had a lot to do with godly reasons. So God put the boundary in place, right? What I learned from the boundary that he put in place was this. Number one, when you are doing that, it takes away your discernment. And discernment is your ability to, it's like your intuition. But it's like your intuition tied with God. So it takes away you being able to hear from God properly about what's going on. But I also believe it affects your intuition. It's a physical, spiritual, emotional thing. Now, it can feel like it's not physical, spiritual, emotional, all of that. It can feel like it's just a physical thing. But things are always happening on deeper levels. So when you're doing this, you're taking away your ability to recognize the red flags in the relationship. And it doesn't seem that deep till you stop doing it. When you stop doing it, you'll start to see those things that kind of get on your nerves are going to get on your nerves more. And you'll start to also notice things that you love and that you like about your partner too. Because if that's the person that you're supposed to marry, that's the person you want to progress with, you're going to start to notice good things, hopefully, in that person. But what happens is when we do that and when we connect on that level, it allows things to blur. It puts us in a state of love and of connection. And the thing is that it's a connection on a deeper level than anything that's going on. And when you have that deep, deep level connection with someone, whether or not, you disagree on a couple of issues, feels like, well, we can figure out anything. Like, honestly, like, and it sometimes, again, like, we don't attribute it to, but it is, because it's like, okay, just, I don't know, like, we just connect, like, we just have this beautiful connection on this. But then when you stop doing that, you start to feel disconnected, and you're like, something's disconnected. And that happens in marriage too. Like when you start to feel disconnected, and it's like something's just not connecting, but you're putting a marriage connection on a relationship that doesn't have that level of commitment. You're going to put your relationship in a place that it's not ready to be yet. And that is why not doing that before you get married will open things up for you. It's going to open your eyes to different things, and you'll be able to think, because feminine energy, of course, has a lot to do with the body. So if you're doing that, then you're affecting your body's ability to be able to just naturally, without any supplements on, oh, well, this feels nice, without any supplements on being able to genuinely tell whether or not this person is for you. But it also, we have to think logically too. And a lot of the times with relationships, this is not a topic of conversation, but this is why I'm breaking it into two parts, so I have time to go on my little rants. But a lot of the times with relationships, we brush over the big issues that we think that we can figure it out because all of the little issues we have together. So what I mean by, and I'll use my own personal example as to not call anybody out. There were 2 points where we were not together. One of those points, we were having a conversation that had so deeply to do with connection with God, religion, and how that relationship looked. When we were not, it gave me the ability to really think about, okay, is this something that is going to make sense? Because we have all these other things that work so beautiful, but this one thing we're not connecting on. Marriage is serious. And so I'm like, for the rest of our lives, how we raise our kids, how we operate in life is going to be surrounded by this one thing. And is this something, like, we loved each other, of course. We loved each other. We had things in common. Our families liked each other. I liked his family. He liked my family. But is it worth this thing that I hold at the core of my life? Are we going to be able to connect on that? And if we're not going to be able to connect on that, what are we going to do about that? And when we were really, we were just kind of like having conversations about it and like, okay, well, we'll figure it out. But when I took that away, God brought that up and was like, what are you going to do about this? But it doesn't just have to be that issue. Like, I promise you, just stop it for a little bit and see how it affects things. Now, when you stop this, I'm going to give you the warning. A lot of men associate intimacy and that level of connection, especially an emotional connection, with that. So if you stop doing that, then he is going to feel like you are breaking a pillar of the relationship. Do not take this personally. You can watch my other video. Don't take this personally. But don't take this personally, because for men and how it was designed, like they literally feel a level of connection with that act. And so when you take it away, it feels like you are rejecting them. And so don't discredit their rejection that they're feeling. And it's going to be hard for them to kind of work through, but it's also going to be good for you to see how they work through that emotion and feeling, because that's going to come up in life and in relationships, but like to see how they work through that. But yes, that will come up, but you can get through it. Okay. If you have any questions or you're struggling, like, message me and we'll talk. Okay, so stop it, and I promise you'll see so many things come up in your relationship that you actually need to, because if you want to have a good marriage and you really want to work on stuff, when you work on that, then you will start to see what you actually need to change or fix or work on in your relationship in order to have a healthy marriage. And that's ultimately the goal, not just to get to marriage, but to have a healthy, beautiful marriage that we are supposed to be in, or that we want to be in, not just to get to that finish line. Number 2, don't move in with that man. And again, this is not from a place of judgment, because I know that a lot of people do, and that I know that it is also seen as a next step and progression in the relationship. But if your goal is to get married, when you move in with a man, you are going to delay the process in you getting married. It is not going to seem that way, Because when you move in with them, it seems like you are making a more financially, a smarter financial decision, because you're not splitting your bills anymore. You're in one place. There is something about moving in together that I have watched slowly like crumble relationships. And what I believe this to be is, when you move in with someone, there are issues that are going to come up with that you should only have to deal with in the protection of marriage. Because if you have the philosophy that you don't believe in divorce, when you move in with someone and you deal with issues, those issues aren't going to determine whether or not you don't make it. And if you have a relationship that you're supposed to be in, and that you guys are going to build things, you're going to do amazing things in life that God has put together, and you feel like God has put your relationship together, and you move in with that person, the devil is going to use little things to crumple that relationship that could have been salvaged if you were married, because it wouldn't have been as easy to end a relationship. On like a higher scale, when you move in with a man before you get married, you're giving the man wife privileges before you get married. Him waking up to you, going to sleep with you, having you cook for him, clean for him, being in your presence all the time as a person with immense feminine energy. Like, there's a Bible verse that says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. And like the prayers, oh God, I'd have to remember these verses, but like a man's prayers can be blocked by him not treating his wife correctly, by him not loving his wife correctly. So God gives favor. This is why it's hard to like calculate when men are like, what do you bring to the table? It's not something physical. Like, men physically bring things to the table. Women bring things that are on a level that can't be seen. And one of those things is favor. Favor from God. You get favor from God. Men get favor from God when you get married, when they are in that position. Your presence brings so much to a man, and he is getting a wifely presence before you have 2 rings on your finger. And I do say 2 because people have the assumption where it's like, okay, once I get engaged, I'll move in with him. But still, he's getting those wifely privileges without getting a wife. Me and Terry used to have so many different, it would frustrate him so much because I had a lot of boundaries that came with, I'm not doing that till I'm your wife, till I have 2 rings. Because I used to say a ring, and then we're engaged, but it's like, no, because the engagement, it is a verbal promise, but that's not a promise before God. And so it can slow down the process. Because if you have a God-ordained relationship, there's going to be things that pop up in your relationship that will, if the devil can't stop something, oh, I love this quote. If the devil can't stop you, he's going to get behind you and push you. I don't know where I heard that. I think it was in one of the church messages that I watched, but I love it because it's so true. When you push yourself into positions of being a wife without the wife commitment, without the wife covering, you're missing the protection of God when you're in those situations and scenarios that's going to protect your relationship. Having the boundaries protects your relationship. Whose house are we hanging out over? Like, driving back and forth, the commute, the phone calls, it's like, and especially when you want to get married, there's like just this intense like want to be with that person. And I wholeheartedly understand, girl. Like, I understand so much. I don't think you guys get how much I understand so much. But I promise you, it is going to be more beneficial for your relationship to wait. There's something subconscious for men where when they stop having to chase, they stop chasing. So when you move in and because really honestly from that point on, it's like, well, what boundaries are you still implementing that you wouldn't be doing if you were a wife, right? When you get rid of the rest of the boundaries, there is nothing that is pushing him and prompting him to get to the marriage aspect faster. Because it's like, even if you think about it from your own perspective, because for a lot of us, and especially if you're watching this video, I'm just going to assume, if you're watching this video, you want to be married. for multiple different reasons. But what are the physical things that you can literally see that's going to be a benefit to you guys getting married? Don't create too many extra barriers for yourself for leaving the relationship while you're in the position to leave the relationship. Because when you move in together, if something crazy happens that under normal circumstances you would say like, I'm done, I'm over it, you would get space. When you're living together and you're in the same space, it is easier for him to mend that than it would be, because not only is he in your face, and it's easier when you're in someone's face sometimes to fix things. It's easier also to fix it with, which is why it's important to stop, because it's easier to just kind of, oh, well, you know, I'm upset, and you know, one thing leads to another. That is also going to heal something that should have been addressed and maybe should have ended the relationship. But anyway, that's a whole different topic. Like, if you, especially if you're in a dating, talking, or engagement stage, and you get into some sort of argument or he does something crazy, do not go that man. Don't do it. Do not do it. Don't do it. Because even if you're like, oh, well, it's just like an itch to scratch, or it's just something to like, it's not that deep, whatever. First of all, for you, it may be trying to solve an emotional connection that you're not aware that you're trying to solve, because it's not always intentional, but it's your body looking to heal that emotional connection. But to him, it also allows him to skate around your boundaries. And when you do that, like, he does something crazy, and then you immediately or soon after it is resolved, go do that. He's like, oh, well, it's not really an issue. If it was an issue, you know. But anyway, again, whole different topic of conversation. But dang, what was I saying? Wow, I don't remember what point I was on. And I'm gonna be editing this video and be like, that's what you were trying to say. But it's okay. My point is when you are, that's what I was saying, when you're trying to leave. So it makes it easier to do that. It makes it easier to forgive them. And it also makes it harder for you to leave the situation because you are in a financial situation. Again, I work in leasing. So if you get an apartment together, and if you get a house, I don't even know about houses, but that's, again, not any, you can't just pay a fee and get out of that. But our 2 bedrooms, like, let's say, are around $2,000. I mean, 1 bedrooms are around $2,000 right now. In order to break your lease, you would need to pay a fee of $4,000 plus give us at least 1 month's notice. So that's $6,000 for just like rent and the fee to break the lease in order to get out of that situation. So it puts you in a situation where you're like, fix this or spend $6,000. And if it's something that could be petty, or something where it's like they didn't really cheat, or yeah, they had this bad habit, but I can kind of wait it out, or something comes up and you're locked into a financial agreement with someone that is $6,000 in order to get out of that agreement, I would rather just fix the issue. The issue can get fixed, especially if you're not in the situation to just dole out $6,000. Your families, so divorcing is a tearing of souls, and it's a tearing of things. So when we put ourselves in a position where we're married, again, without the covering of marriage, breaking up with someone when you're living together is like that tearing of souls. And especially if your souls are intertwined, because you're intertwined, but it's a tearing of souls and possessions and everything. You're having to break everything up as if you were a divorced person, because you've merged everything before you got married. And you have no, protections, no rights, no whatever, because you're not married. You're going to be more inclined to fix something that should not be fixed because you're in a position where you're together. So it'll add extra stress because you're going to be thinking all these things like, can I deal with this? Can I deal with this? Can I deal? I hated the can I deal with this stage of thinking about getting married, because my philosophy is if you take the person as they are right now and nothing about them changes, are you going to be okay with that? And that is just a really, really hard point in the relationship. But when you're living with someone, you're adding in extra things that you shouldn't even be dealing with yet. So we are going to stop here. So yes, tough love for Valentine's Day, but it's just so necessary. And I want to be authentic on here with you guys and have my beliefs on what I really think is going to work. And that's what I really think is going to work. Again, next week is going to be a little bit lighter. If you guys have any questions, comments, or anything that you want to let me know, feel free to do so. I love you guys so much. I am really grateful for each and every one of you, especially watching this all the way until the end. And I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. Happy Valentine's Day.